Good morning, everyone. So yeah, we're going to start with this presentation. Doris and I are going to talk about script writing for video. So let's just get into this real quick here. I'm going to go to the slide. So what we're going to talk about today in the agenda, we're going to talk about, I'm going to give a quick introduction to PitchHub, and then Doris is going to jump into Zipline presentation, talk about how you can create a statement about you and your business and what you offer and the services you offer in 10 words or less. So we're going to get through that. We're going to then do a script exercise based on those 10 words. And we're going to have everyone grab a pen and paper and write down 10 clear and concise words that describe the services that you provide. We're going to bring you through a process in order to do that. If we have some time, then we're going to talk about a call to action and move from there. So real quick about PitchHub, and so folks that don't know who PitchHub is, we have a video startup. We've been around for, gosh, it's going to be our third year in 2021. And really our why and why we are really excited about what we've been doing at PitchHub is that I've been in the video industry for over 20 years. And I realized that 5% of people out there are just not producing video, not creating video for their business. And so if we figured out a lot of reasons why they weren't doing that, but if we could help people do that, it would be just a win-win for us. So we would help people enable video, to create video messages and video content for their business. And if we could increase that number, that would also help our business, which would be just a win-win. So today, what we do at PitchHub is we streamline professional video production. And so what we believe that now, obviously, people need to do a lot more videos, produce a lot more content. We believe that the market is now about 10% of folks are doing video for their business. And so folks that are on the PitchHub platform, if we can do things like this with Doris, we could bring in other professionals to help in the process and help get people more comfortable, and we can provide the technology in order to help people with their videos, help them create great video content and help them stand out from the crowd. Well, then that's what we're doing, and that's why we think we'll be successful in this market. So with that being said, let's get Doris into her presentation.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm glad, like you are, that 2021 is finally here. So I wanted to just share a little bit about myself. I actually have a Silicon Valley corporate experience similar to Andrew, and I spent many years in the semiconductor industry and Hewlett Packard. And in all of the companies I worked at, I gave a lot of executive presentations, either telling the executive staff, the status on various products and projects we were working on. And a lot of it was not good news, but it was news that needed to be said. So I really learned what executives are looking for and what they're not looking for, and how to give a clear, concise presentation. And I also learned how, if you are very uncomfortable and refuse to give a presentation at work, it can be a career limiting move. So I started working with people to help them create their PowerPoint presentations, practice with them, and get them at a more comfortable space so they too could start giving presentations and not end up on the layoff list. So that's a little bit about my background. When I decided to leave Hewlett Packard and start my own business, that experience is what I brought forth with me, helping executives and other professionals give really compelling, awesome presentations. So what we're going to be talking about today is an elevator pitch style that you can say in 10 words or less. I call it a zip line because for those of you in the industry, when you compress a file, you zip it. And also for those attention adventuresome souls that go down zip lines, they go really fast. So I borrowed the phrase in both ways. So again, you all know the elevator pitch. When you get down in the elevator, you can say your introduction and what you really want to get out and message before you get off in whatever floor you're on. And again, a lot of you may have already heard that the goldfish, they have a pretty short attention span, but sadly, their attention span is now becoming longer than the human attention span. So in the year 2000, a human's attention span was 12 seconds. And now, depending on the source you use, it's 8 seconds. I've heard it even it's as low as 6 seconds. So that's a pretty sad indication of how long we pay attention. And again, people are blaming the proliferation of mobile devices like cell phones, laptops, tablets, etc., which makes it even more imperative to be able to communicate what you need to quickly. And that goes into first impressions, because again, people's attention spans, which is different than a first impression. If you only have 8 seconds to make a first impression and hold people's attention, it's really incumbent upon you to be able to do it quickly. So one of the first things I always like talking about is how long it takes for somebody to make up their first impression about you by seeing you. People, the second you walk through the door, they've already made up their mind about what they feel about you. Do they like you? Do they not like you? Do they trust you? Do they feel like they are above you and have more power than you? Or are you above them and you have more power? The fascinating studies have come out of this, which I find really interesting. So if you take elections, people have gotten a lot of volunteers and they'll show candidates pictures to them for a tenth of a second. And with about 80% accuracy, these people can predict the winner over 80% of the time. And again, that's only seeing a picture for a tenth of a second. So what are they seeing? They're seeing how you look. Do you look trustworthy? Do you look nice? Do you look scary? Do you look like you're credible and somebody they would want to hang out with? Likewise, equally as important is how people hear you. Do you sound competent and comfortable? Do you sound like you're a jerk? Do you sound like you're timid and scared and unsure of yourself? Again, all of these are telltale signs about people. Can they trust you? Because if you don't sound sure of yourself, they're probably not going to trust you to spend large sums of money on you and get them the results they're looking for. So if you can put yourself in the mind of your clients, I always like to use this analogy of your clients are currently on Pain Island, right? And where do they want to go? They want to go over to Pleasure Island. So currently on Pain Island, want to get over to Pleasure Island. How do I do that? You and your services are the boat that can take your clients from Pain Island to Pleasure Island. Now, one of the mistakes people often make is they go into the details, which is the process of the boat. They talk about the paint, they talk about the material of the guardrail, they talk about the wood, is it teak or mahogany, they talk about the crystal, the linens, they talk about how fast it can go, how old it is. But you have to understand, clients don't care. They just want to know your boat will take them from Pain Island to Pleasure Island. That's what they're paying for. So with that being said, we're going to pick up your pen and paper and pencil and start writing. Now, with the little things I want to say is, I want you to create, at the time when we're done with these 4 questions, you're going to write a complete, full, proper English sentence that will be a standalone sentence. And people don't need to know your name or who you work for to understand exactly what you do, who you do it for, okay, and what the benefit is. So here's your first question. Who specifically needs what you have to offer? Again, try and be specific. Don't just say people or everybody, because people don't resonate with that. People want to hear, oh, that's me. Or if it's not me, oh, I know somebody who's in that exact same boat. So be specific. Second question, what do they need and want? So again, not what you think they need and want, but over your years of experience, what have they told you that they need and they want? And sometimes they may not be good at vocalizing what they need and they want. They may say one thing, but with your experience, you really know that this is what they really need, not what they're saying. Okay, so the third one, what are the obstacles in their path? And again, put yourself in their shoes, not what you think the obstacles are, but what do they think the obstacles are preventing them to get what they want? And the last question is, how do you uniquely help your clients overcome these obstacles? Which, and again, this may be a challenge if, there's a lot of real estate agents, there's a lot of financial advisors, there's a lot of estate planning attorneys. So this is where you can really start thinking about how can you differentiate yourself from everybody else doing the same thing. So what I want you to do with the answers that you wrote in those 4 questions is create a 1-sentence statement incorporating all of those. And what we're going to do is that statement has to be a full, complete, proper English statement that can stand alone without anybody knowing what your name is or what business you have. So for example, you don't need to say, I'm Susie Q from Interim Realty, and this is what I do. I just want you to be able to say that one statement, and you don't need that other in the bookends, if you will, of who you work for, okay? Now I'm gonna give you a few examples of what I've done for myself over the past. This will help you, I think, figure out how to get it to 10 words. I teach motivated professionals how to attract clients through speaking. So what is it that I do? I'm teaching. Who am I teaching? Motivated professionals. Because I don't want to just teach people. I want to teach motivated people, right? And I put professionals because I'm not really doing nail salons or gardeners or people like that. I want the professional market. And what am I doing for them? How to attract clients. That's what they want. They want to attract clients. And how are we doing it? Through speaking. So again, you can chunk these statements up and put those into those 4 questions. My clients successfully elevate how others perceive their communication styles. So here I'm starting with not me, I teach, but it's like my clients. What is the success that they're doing? Other people are elevating how they are being perceived. I train attorneys, attorneys, how to increase their executive presence. I teach entrepreneurs how to increase their visibility through speaking. So again, I mean visibility speaking. My clients experience greater clarity and focus with their communications. I train business owners how to make money through speaking. I teach new entrepreneurs how to market their communication style. Now, I want to point out a couple things here. So hopefully you'll notice that once you start doing these things, you can start doing these really fast, because all you need to do is move things around and you can create multiple statements. So again, if you're a real estate agent, you could say, I teach first-time home buyers how to buy their perfect house. I teach people downsizing how to blah, blah, blah. I teach sellers how to do this, right? All you have to do is like move these little snippets around and you can start creating multiple statements without much effort. And the other thing I want to point out is like the last 2, business owners and entrepreneurs. If you take a poll, which I've done several times, people self-identify either as a business owner or as an entrepreneur. Very rarely will they identify as both. So again, it's important to understand your audience. If I know that the audience I'm in front of identifies as an entrepreneur, I'm not going to call them business owners. I'm going to call them entrepreneurs or use entrepreneur in what I'm saying, because that's the ears they're listening for. So as you start crafting your scripts for your videos, again, understand your audience. And this can be something as simple as, are they business owners or do they identify as entrepreneurs? So one of the things I invite you not to do in these statements, use the word help. Help is very passive. It's like try. Well, I'll try and help you get this goal. No, people aren't spending money on you to try and help them. They want results. They want a clarion call to action that you are going to help them. Otherwise, they'll just Google it for themselves. You are a professional offering a service. So there is no helping involved. You're doing it. Um, what I hear all the time is it's all about the relationship. So if you raise your hand, every single person I bet on the call today knows that what we do is all about the relationship. So what I like in your elevator pitch or your script for the video that you're writing is it's very expensive verbal real estate. You don't want to waste it with throwaway phrases like it's all about the relationship. That is not a differentiator. So again, if it doesn't move your conversation forward in this crisp, clear, short way, it's fluff. And what we're about is getting rid of fluff and getting down to the meat of it. Also, like the boat getting you from Pain Island to Pleasure Island, you don't go into the process of how. Like for me, my examples, I would say through speaking or visibility. I'm not saying how. I'm not saying, which I hear again all the time, I sit with you and I really take the time to understand where you are now and how to get you to where you want to be. And I have you fill out all these forms and surveys and we co-create this together. No, 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 none of that. People don't care. They want you to show them how to do it. And again, why I had you concentrate on one of the many things that you do, you don't want to throw in the kitchen sink. You just don't have time in these clear, succinct elevator pitches or your about me videos. You don't have time for that. You need to hook people quickly so they want to keep listening to you. The other thing I hear about this, and some people, this is their whole modus operandi, is they teach people how to say, what differentiates me from the competition is, or how I differ from other people is. And for me, my personal opinion is don't do that. One of the reasons why I say never ever do that is because if you hear me, what differentiates me from the competition is I really take the time to get to know what people want and how to get them there. So then there's two things. You're setting yourself up to be better than everybody else, which unconsciously makes a bad feeling in their mouth about you because you're coming off as you're full of yourself because you're so much better than everyone else. But we really aren't. We're just different, right? And if you set your listeners up for what differentiates me from my competition, and then what follows is something that does not differentiate you from your competition, then you've lost them, right? So don't set people up for that. Now, think of things that can differentiate you from your competition, and you can say it without saying that phrase. So, for example, I could say, like I did in the beginning, my background as a Silicon Valley corporate executive, that is my experience. A lot of people can't say that. So if you think about some of the things in your experience in your past, you could even go into, things about you personally. How do you look? What is your experience? I had a client who's a real estate agent who was born and raised in Hawaii. He's Hawaiian. He looks Hawaiian. And that is one of the things we used in his business because he moved back to Hawaii from Silicon Valley. And so we used his looks as a way to get people to understand if you want to know anything about Hawaii, I'm your guy, right? And again, his looks helped drive that credibility home. So, again, what is it about you that can be different that you may not have ever thought about before? And then what I encourage you to do is, again, choose one part of your business for each zip line that you're going to create. And again, like I did, create multiple statements, just cut and paste. And the other thing is be creative and have fun and enjoy the process, because the more fun and enjoyment you can get from this, the more lighthearted you feel. And again, video, that will come out as you're talking in your video. You won't be as scared. Sometimes we all get scared or nervous. But again, the more fun you can have with this, the more you can get into the true you that you are and bring that forth. So it's very important to me. That could be one of the most important things. Have fun and enjoy the process. And so with that, I am going to turn it back over to Andrew. Do you want me to keep this slide up for a while, Andrew, or stop sharing?
You can pull it off if you'd like. Am I back
There you
on?
go.
Yeah.
Because we want
Cool.
to see Andrew.
Um, no, that was awesome, and that was really cool. And a lot of notes that I took on that was I've met a lot of different folks, and as they're doing their about me videos, I've really pushed folks to talk about what their experiences were before they got into the business that they're in. Is because in this market, when you're attaching yourself with a video to somebody else, like, yeah, trying to correlate your previous experience with theirs. And so, they want to know that you're like-minded and you were in that
Right,
specific industry. And that I think that's why we always connected right away, is because we were in Silicon Valley, we were in high tech, we were very familiar with the industry as it was in
right,
large companies too.
right.
So I definitely want to ask questions. I want to ask if folks have questions, or if somebody even wants to come up with this statement they came up with that they want to share.
Yes, please. We'll take a volunteer, or we could even do a voluntold if nobody volunteers.
Yeah.
I
Does
have a
anybody feel
question.
brave? All right, awesome.
Luba, how are you? Great.
So my biggest difficulty when I leave a voicemail, what can I say in a voicemail that is very short and make them call me back? Because nobody pick up the phone these days.
Is this like a cold call
Yeah,
voicemail or somebody that you know?
probably both, one of each.
Okay, so Andrew, do you want to take a first stab, or would you like me to take a first stab at it as a cold call?
Well, you know what the video guy is going to say.
Well,
I would
what's the
say
video guy
a
going to
video
say?
call. Just record a message of you just explaining who you are and what you want to talk about, and put it on video. You connect with the person way better. So record a video and just, I found too that when I leave voicemails, I, try to see if let me redo that one. So record your video on your phone and text that video to that person. Say, look, it's always really hard, 'cause people don't answer their phones anymore. If you don't know the number, they're not going to answer. So with the video, though, they get to see you a little bit, and you get to clear and concisely explain what you're looking to do when you give them that phone call.
Right. Now for me, Luba, are you a real estate agent? So I'm assuming the phone numbers or the contact information you'd be getting like from a list that you're then going out. So does that list have demographic information on it, like how old the home buyers are, or how long they've lived in their current home, or that kind of information?
Yes.
because that would also, going back to Andrew's point, when you're creating a video, one of the things you wouldn't want to do is call a first-time home buyer that's in their early 30s who just bought a home 6 months ago and give them a pitch about downsizing, right? Because that's the wrong market. Likewise, you wouldn't want to be reaching out to somebody who is in their 70s, who's lived in the house for 60 years or 50 years, and talk to them about trading up, right? So again, if you understand exactly, and Andrew's point is brilliant, if you leave a video message, then it is understood and assume that you're doing this like to each individual person. It's not a robocall.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, that would be two different messages, because nothing will turn people off more if you are totally missing who they are.
Right.
And this is for everybody. Again, the more clear you can get to who you're talking to, that will help you target to what to say, right?
The more likelihood that they're going to actually, if they're not in the market, if they're not corresponding to what you're requesting, they are more likely to say, oh, I may know somebody. I just talked to my friend about that, you know.
Right.
So because then now they're connected to you because they see your face.
Exactly, right. And again, it's like, you know, I can't overemphasize enough to be cheerful and positive and comfortable, and own your uncomfortableness and nervousness doing this, because we're all human, right? You know, people, oh, I want to get rid of my nerves. You will never get rid of your nerves ever. And for me, that's the wrong goal, because nerves is adrenaline. And you need adrenaline to be alive and be on task. And that nervousness helps you with that energy that you need, because who wants to listen to the sound, again, going back, the sound of your voice is boring. And who wants to watch or listen to somebody who is bored? And a lot of times, I tell you, I've listened to people who are at the top of their game. They've been in the industry for 20 or 30 years, and they've done this talk a million times. And you can tell they've done the talk a million times because they're just putting another nickel in the slot and they're saying the same old stuff, right? And so if you don't want to get into that, you always want to be, I always say, be a little bit nervous, right? And the other thing, if I can be a devil's advocate, I am not a fan of being perfect, because being perfect is not natural. You're right. We are perfectly imperfect beings. And when you get too perfect, it makes people nervous, right? And so again, so like for me, if you've been listening closely, you've heard me stumble over some words. I know I'm going to do that every time I open my mouth. So for me, I don't let it bother me, because A, I know I'm going to, and B, I know how to get out of it and keep moving. And C, I just feel like it makes me human. And it also makes other people more comfortable, because they're not going, oh, Doris, she's so perfect. She does this for a living. She never makes a mistake. I make a mistake all day long. So again, as you do these videos, don't think that you have to be perfect,
Yep.
right? Embrace your little foibles.
Yeah.
You look
and
perfect. You have a nice light on you, probably.
I do. Well, again, this is what I do for a living, but you don't see the mess in back of me, right? And again, it's just like all these things conspire, but that's what makes a professional is like, and again, like Andrew, you know, we got on before this call to make sure everything was right, and we had to make some changes. But again, that's what you do. You make it really good enough, but you know, it's never going to be perfect, and be okay with that.
Yeah, and anybody who's done videos with me, I've always said, yeah, every once in a while when they make mistakes, like, no, don't worry about that. That's totally
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, you can redo it if it makes you feel more comfortable, but you know, a little mistake here and there, it's not going to matter too much.
Right.
I think what a lot of people, the reason why people don't do as much video or even do video in the first place, they don't like the way they look and they don't like the way they sound. And that's like the number one thing I hear
Yep.
from folks.
Right.
Why they won't do a video.
Right.
but everybody else is doing them. They like you. They like the way that, you know, you've got friends, people like you, that, you know, you have to get over that piece.
Right. And I always recommend do a video, watch it 3 times. The first time is to get over the shock and horror of listening to yourself, because everybody hates the way they sound. I hate the way I sound. I can't stand it. But I video myself all the time and I listen, because every time I do, I go, oh God, I can't believe I'm doing that. So I learn, even after all these years, I still learn how to be a little bit better next time. What blows me away is people who won't do it, but then when they do it, they still refuse to watch it. That is like the #1 way you can improve yourself, is by watching yourself, because that is how other people see you.
Yeah, you'll get way better when you look at yourself and watch
Yeah,
yourself.
you have to watch it multiple times.
Ani, thank you for your comment, because I was going to call on you, as you've been doing videos for probably about a year now, a little over a year.
Yeah.
And at first, very nervous. And now she is the queen of video.
I wouldn't say that, but yeah, I mean, definitely, like, I was massively nervous when I started out. I felt very uncomfortable, but you don't get past it unless you do it.
Exactly.
And the thing is, really, I mean, like, people see you for who you are. They hear you for how you speak. You know, you're not out there being someone else. You have to be you and genuine. And so it shouldn't matter. You know, yes, we all want better lighting. Yes, we all want to be like 20 pounds skinnier. You know, but it's who you are, and everyone sees you and loves you for that. So if you're honest about it, then you're going to be honest about other things. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Right. And it's interesting, if I can interject, like going back to watching the videos and what you said, we are our own worst enemies. We are our harshest critic, and we are the ones who keep ourselves stuck, right? And we all have those gremlins, those negative gremlins in our head that say nothing but negative things about ourselves and our performance. And one of the things I try and practice and I instill with my clients is, again, it's like being nervous. You will never not be nervous, and you will never not be critical for yourself, right? But the more you practice that first thought that goes into your head, make it positive. Even if the positive is, oh, I didn't suck as much as I thought I was going to, right? Or I didn't throw up like I felt like, right? Or just something, even if it's that, silly, if you will, I didn't blow it. That is more positive than going, God, I suck. I'm never going to get this, right? Because the more you keep bombarding yourself with those negative thoughts, the more hard it is to keep going forward, because you're just dragging yourself down with more and more negativity. So if you can rush to go, that went pretty well, the more easy it will be to start being more positive about yourself. And the fact that, yeah, we need to lose 20 pounds, but it's okay because people, who cares, right? And again, if you wait till everything's perfect, you're never going to get there. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because, people, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too short, I'm too tall, I'm too thin, I'm too fat. My mother wouldn't let me, my dog ate, whatever it is. I have kids, I don't have kids. It's too cold, it's too hot, whatever is going on in our life, we make 1,000,001 excuses why we can't do something. And it's all us preventing ourselves from moving forward.
What I've seen so many people that have been so nervous, and then they've done their first video, but they practiced and they've done it, and then they're always they're always happy with their video.
Right.
Not super happy, right? But they're much happier than they thought.
Right.
It came out way better than they thought it was.
And it's interesting how many people don't want to practice. And again, it's like, would you want to get on an airplane where the pilot has not practiced their 1,000 hours in the situational training where they're coming up with any scenario that might go wrong? No, right? So practice.
Yeah. So with everything that everybody put together, Make sure to email myself and Doris. You can find our emails on the invite. Email us what you wrote down. Email
Right.
us, if you've got questions, let us go through those and let us help you with them. And so in 2 weeks, we're going to come back and we're going to do this. We're going to maybe go through a couple of them
Oh, that'd be
and
great.
kind of get into it, dig into it a little bit. And it's just not real estate on this call. There's some other folks that have joined from other industries too. So we can get to see what they're thinking too. And so
Right.
we can go through some of these statements, we can work on them, and then we can talk about me videos next time, and also call to actions. So like, try this, discover this, call me now. Those types of statements that you can make from a call to action, where you can really invoke somebody to do something after watching your video.
Right.
So we're going to get into that in about 2 weeks. But in the meantime, let's collaborate over those 2 weeks with your statements. And then we'll come back and do this and kind of the next level in about 2 weeks.
Right. And think
That's
about how even though this is what we did today is about an elevator pitch, it's still a structure that you can move into the script. Because again, think about what fluff do I have? Let's get rid of it.
Does that sound good? And if anybody's got any questions before we jump off, if there's something that you wanted to hear today before we go, please let us know.
Yeah, Andrew, is this
Now or-
recorded?
Yes, it is, Nicole. Yes,
Okay, cool. Thank you.
you're welcome.
No questions? Wow.
It's okay.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Hopefully you found this was useful. It was always useful for me. And thank you, Doris. You're amazing. I really appreciate your jumping on this call.
I appreciate the invitation, Andrew.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye, everybody.